Everyone seems to hate airport experience unless it's a small domestic airport. But whenever there's a problem, I mean, I have my own anxieties and fears whenever I'm at the airport, especially with my family and young kids and all that stuff. But you never know. When you get into the airport, even with like business class tickets, doesn't matter. It's either hit or miss for me. Flying from LAX, I'm not sure how it is in South Africa, but let's talk about what technology and AI could look like for airports, right? And how it could
Yeah.
help people like us, consumers, and, well, subsequently the airlines and airports in this case, to provide better experience to the passengers.
So yeah, let's dive into it today. I mean, ultimately, if you want to paint a picture, imagine arriving at the airport, you're quite excited for your journey, you're ready for your flight. You access the airport only to be met with, massive lines at security and baggage check-ins. So, the clock is ticking, your stress levels are rising, and that pre-flight excitement has completely gone out the window. So today I thought we'd explore how artificial intelligence is reshaping the airport industry through efficiency, reducing delays, and ultimately transforming that passenger experience. First and foremost, it goes without saying, your check-in lines are going to be the first sort of resistance that you'll encounter when you get to the airport. You've got the check-in procedure, which you stand in a line for. You submit your baggage, you get your boarding pass. Then you go through a security check. You stand in a line, go through the check. Then you get to the airport lounges where you wait. And then you stand up and get in a line for boarding of the plane. So there's all these lines and waiting periods that you have to go through. And it's stressful for passengers.
Yeah, one of the major problems that you have as a passenger, especially if you're in a hurry, is transparency. If you have the clarity of what's happening in front of you, how far everything is, and all that stuff. So let me give you like an example of what could be cool. As I'm remembering now, all the cases where we had to rush through the crowd and just ask people, "Hey, can we be in front of you? Can you let us pass?" and all that, because our flight was, I don't know, a short connection of 45 minutes or something, and all of a sudden there was like a million people in front of us, and we had to rush through all of them to get through the security, which was, again, an unexpected thing there. It would be great to create something like priorities, right? Like they have priority boarding based on your ticket price today, but shouldn't there be also a priority boarding or priority passage based on the urgency of your particular situation? Like we see people in like wheelchairs, for example, those get priorities. Obviously, everyone just steps aside and they pass through. But also, if you're a family with a newborn and two little kids and you have a short connection and your flight is leaving in 15 minutes and you're just reaching the end of the line, which seems like forever, there should be a prioritization for those people automatically. So like the system would know that, well, these guys are going to be late for the flight. These guys can be late for the flight. They're in the middle of the lane, of the line right now. They're not going to be on time. So we need to rearrange them, right? So I'm doing this with my hand because I envision this to work with a mobile phone, obviously. So it's an app that basically shows you, hey, there is a 25-minute line in front of you, but we know that your flight leaves in 15 minutes. So obviously you're not making it. So we will prioritize your spot in the line, because most of those people who are in the line came, well, they were better at preparing than you were. So they came like 1 hour, 2 hours before their flight. So they have time and they can wait and let you be the first in line so that you could go through the security a lot faster, right? So then this app would tell you, okay, you may now proceed to the front of the line. Maybe the officer will call your name and say, that family, you're already here. Yeah, come here. Let him pass through. Then you go through that. Also indoor navigation that basically shows you where you have to go right now, like walk, run, crawl, whatever the mode. It will say like, hey, I also remember cases when I had to stop by, like, for example, our gate was like 75 and I started my journey at gate 5, right? And I only had 5 minutes. So I had to ask someone at gate 5 to call gate 75 so that they wouldn't close the door. Obviously, yes, you're not supposed to be late for your flights. You're not supposed to be late for the airport, whatever. But it's life. Life happens. And these exact moments are the ones that define customer satisfaction and customer experience for real. Everyone can provide great customer service when everything is according to the plan and everything's on time. But what happens when it's an extreme situation? That's what matters. And that's what customers will remember. And that's what customers will talk about on social media and, damage or boost your reputation as an airport or as an airline company. So in that case, they called the gate 75 and asked them not to close the door, and they waited for us. So it would be a lot easier if AI would know where I am exactly at the airport and will notify the crew that that person is moving towards, the gate right now. The estimated arrival time is 5 minutes or something. So let's not close the door, and let's assure the passenger that everything's going to be fine. Don't stress out. Don't run. We still have time. We're not going to close the door. We'll make an exception for you, whatever, right? Like those gray areas or flexibility points, I would say, in a very robust system, they are very important in today's customer experience journey as a whole, I think. And that's what people appreciate a lot. So from the consumer standpoint, from the passenger standpoint, just having that guide that basically guides you by the hand, the AI guide in your phone that guides you by the hand, not just a notification, hey, your group is boarding. That's great that airlines do that. But just like the real help when AI connects both the security personnel, airline crew, and your family, when you have that connection and now you feel like you're not alone, because most of the people who are late for the flights, they have no idea if they're going to make it or not. They're just running for their lives, right? They're running, they're out of breath, like we're almost there, it shouldn't be that. Like that's stress. And we don't want that. Like if we want to eliminate that, we have to change the experience. And technology can totally, absolutely change the experience if it provided the clarity and predictability to the passengers who are in need of help right now. So that would be one of the cases. Sorry, I interrupted you with like all other cases, but I just wanted to like focus more on the problems that are a lot easier to solve than, let's say, change the whole like security layout, including like AI into the back checking, because that will require so many regulations and so many regulatory bodies to approve that it's almost impossible. But when it comes to consumer and passenger experience, that's a lot easier to implement. That's a lot easier to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And that was actually a good analogy that you put down there, because it's happened to me before, specifically traveling through Asia. I don't know if you've been to Asia, but it's quite hectic out that side, because you have a security checkpoint before you even access the airport itself. Then you get inside and do your baggage check-in and all of that. And then you got more security checkpoints thereafter. And it's highly frustrating, and it does automatically, immediately, as you get there, you start to stress out, and things just become a little bit more heightened. So having that peace of mind, and what we've always said is, go mobile first. Everyone's got mobile phones. If you have some sort of interface where you can have live updates that are being provided to you from your airline provider, and they are then getting the feedback loop to, exactly where you are in the process of either check-in or through security, in real time, that will allow them to, basically what you mentioned is call you up to the front of the queue if you're a little bit behind on time or your schedule, and give you that priority. And I think that boils down to a bit of predictive modeling as well, because if you've got these real-time updates, and I believe they've got it at JFK as well, where they've got real-time dashboards, where they have displayed live wait times that are powered by AI and cameras that are tracking the crowd densities, so that you can determine exactly how much longer you need to wait in this queue. What is the proposed time of arrival at my gate? If you don't have one of those escalators that are moving, so that you don't have to walk from gate 5 to gate 75 per se.
But that's the thing.
It's a thing. And these things.
But that's the thing. It's the difference between proactive and reactive. What you're talking about is kind of reactive data that is there, and it's up to you if you want to react to it or not, but you can't really do much about it. Like if the wait is 30 minutes, well, you're done. If your plane is leaving in 20, the proactive system, and that's what we're talking about today with AI, or like more advanced technology in this case, it guides you and it anticipates where you will be and what needs to be done to make sure that you make it to the plane. And
Yeah.
that has to be someone's priority. And if you're left in the dark, if you're left alone, if you feel like you don't matter, then that's the worst customer experience you may ask for, right? And yes, millions of people pass through the airport. Yes, you have no choice and whatever. But is that really the message that airlines and airports want to convey to their passengers? I believe it's not. I believe they want passengers to be happy. They want passengers to be satisfied. They want families to make it to the plane, even the ones who are late. And it's their fault, obviously. But how about we help them, right? How about we still make an effort? And in this case, it doesn't really require people's effort. That's the thing. Like, we're not increasing the capacity of the airport's personnel, or we're not putting extra work in their hands. Like, they don't need to do this. Technology can do all of this stuff, and everyone's happy then. Another example is when I see all those like people at the register, like at the counter right before the gate, before getting to the plane, when they change their seats, priorities and all that stuff, they, I don't know, make some modifications to their itinerary journey if the flight got canceled or whatever. You have to spend, I don't know, 40 minutes to an hour just standing in line for them to rebook you, or for them to find you a better seat to do something like that. All of this stuff is super redundant in today's world. You should have full accessibility to your journey on your phone through the app, through AI, natural language. And I'm talking about me, like, who's tech savvy, right? It's hard. But someone who's like 65 or 70, for example, who only heard something about AI or whatever, like, it would be so hard for them to do. Funny you mentioned Asia. Like, I've been to Asia, yes. And I remember like how hard it was for me to get from the subway, like from one station to another in Tokyo. It's almost impossible if you're not local. Back in the day, like, we didn't have Google Maps or anything like that. So people were the only aid, but people don't speak English. And it was amazingly adventurous, but also horribly, the experience was horrible because you don't even understand what's happening. Same thing with trains in New York, for example. If you're a local, sure, you understand that train's not going to stop at that station. That's an express, whatever. They change all the time. Like in airports, they change gates last minute, and now all of a sudden your gate is on the other side of the airport. Like what happened to my friend the other day, and she had to run again. Like, we need to eliminate running in the airport, period. Yeah. And technology can eliminate running in the airport. And that was one of the examples. What other examples did you have on your list?
Well, I just find this absolutely fascinating, and I thought I'd try and find some real-world examples of how AI has improved airport wait times and, some of the additional benefits that actually come with that as well. For instance, I checked out San Francisco Airport, and after they implemented AI-driven queue management, pre-check complaints dropped by 40% in just 6 months. And
wow,
I believe
that's
pre-check
significant.
20 million members as of today. Consider that to be a substantial amount of people that are no longer submitting complaints because the wait times have actually dramatically reduced, specifically at San Francisco Airport. So I find that quite interesting. And then another one, which is, I think this might blow your mind, is Miami International. They've incorporated predictive analytics, and what it was able to do is reduce missed flights by 25% during the Thanksgiving holiday of 2024. Now, I did some research on that, and between the dates of November 22nd and December 2nd of 2024, that's generally the large-scale Thanksgiving holiday period, they saw 1.9 million travelers that came through Miami International Airport. So if you do the math on that, 25% of that, you're looking at around 475,000 people that could have or should have missed their flights. So that's a substantial amount of people.
That's crazy,
yeah, I found it astounding, to be honest. And then finally, going back on what you were saying about getting lost or not having the details of where you need to be and not being able to find it. In Dubai Airport, they've now incorporated AI robots that can now guide lost passengers just by, making use of the technology. And that frees up key employees to focus on or manage better bottlenecks. If anything arises, they can actually, focus on that while the lost passengers have an AI bot that's going to, actually help them get to where they need to be. So I find that quite fascinating that real world things are actually in effect and working as we speak.
Yeah, it reminds me of those guiding robots in Germany in the tech museum. They were basically like robots on wheels. But again, why do you need robots if you have mobile phones? You have your arrows, like where to go and all that stuff. And you have AR, again, for augmented reality stuff. And then you have AI that guides you and understands what's on your screen. So you're covered. Basically, what we're talking about is personalized airport assistant in your phone that helps you get the best experience you could ever have in the airport. And that connects on the back end, the airline, the airport, the security, and the passenger all together. And it also improves security, like safety, right? A lot, because obviously for you to get the benefits as a passenger, to get the benefits of such system, you would need to be more personal and to be more open to the system. And even though it's encrypted and your data is private and all that stuff, it still gets vetted and verified by independent systems inside the whole operation. And then we know who is coming, who that person is, what the intent is, what the history with that person is. So it improves safety as well.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're envisioning. I mean, if you have a mobile application that encompasses everything that's relating to your journey, where your baggage is, so you can have baggage tracking, any status updates that might have changed, connecting flights, or even how to try and find the next gate within an airport that you've never been to. If it's all encapsulated into one application that's easy to absorb, natural language, it's just going to dramatically enhance the entire user or passenger experience, should I say, from start to finish. And once you reach your destination, you might not be as frustrated as before.